class. In front of you, you should have your canvas with your sketch on it. Also, be sure to have a cup of water, your larger brush and your smaller brush, a paper towel. For your colors, be sure to have green, dark blue, red, brown, then black and white. I do suggest having a plate for this class because we will be mixing some colors. If you do not have all those materials, not a problem. Just push pause on the video and come back to us when you're ready. So the first thing we're going to do for our Alien Child painting class is take both of our brushes and swirl them around in our cup of water to get them nice and clean. And then once you're done, please just gently pat them onto your paper towel so there's not too much water on there. Our first step is painting our dark blue sky in the background. So I'm going to take my big brush and my dark blue paint. I'm going to outline all the way around our alien child. So big brush, dark blue, and I'm going to create this bubble. It's okay if you go over your pencil lines a little bit. I'm going to keep on dragging my brush until it's out of paint. Go back for more. So all I'm going to do is create this nice dark blue bubble all the way around. Be sure not to get any dark blue inside of this space. We're just working on the outside space. Perfect. Then once you're done with your outline, it should look something like this. Then you can go in there with your big brush and your dark blue and paint all of your sky dark blue again. And I'm just moving my brush in an up and down motion. I'm going over my line that I just did too, so you don't see it that much. With your dark blue, I do recommend doing 2, maybe even 3 coats of dark blue so they can cover up your white canvas really well. Which means I paint it once, give it a couple minutes to dry, and then go back and do another coat. So again, 2, maybe even 3 coats of this dark blue so you don't see any of the white canvas peeking through. Again, be sure you're just moving your brush in an up and down motion. I'm going over my outline just a little bit, definitely not past it. I'm going to keep on the outside of that line. Nice long lines, keeping it nice and clean. Just moving my big brush in an up and down motion. I will also paint the 4 sides dark blue. So in just a moment, we'll paint our 4 sides dark blue, just in case when you hang it, it just looks nicer and neater on the sides. Then I'm going to start painting the left side, all dark blue. And while I paint my 4 sides here in just a minute, it gives the front part of my canvas some time to dry. So then once I'm done painting the 4 sides dark blue, I can just go right over this front area and give it another coat. Back little by little to my dark blue and slowly start covering up that background. And if you have any big bumps with your dark blue, just go over it and smooth it out. You do want the background to be nice and smooth. This is my first coat of dark blue. So a nice dark blue sky. And now I can start painting the four sides of my canvas. I'll start with the bottom area. Just gonna paint side to side. Get it all nice and clean. So there's the bottom. There is the right side. I'll do the top and the left side in just a moment. Get nice long lines. If you see any bumps, go over it with your brush to get it nice and neat. And I'll go ahead and paint the very top. And once I'm done with this fourth side, I can go back to the front area of my canvas and give it another coat. Take your time with your dark blue sky. Do not rush. Be sure you get all the white space in the background. And if your paint still looks shiny, that means it's still wet. Gonna clean up those sides a little bit more. Smooth out any bumps. And I'm gonna go back and do another coat of dark blue. I would probably do 3 coats for mine, just in case, and you can see the huge difference between a first coat and a second coat. It really covers it up that much better. And a third coat is gonna be extra clean, where you won't be able to see the white canvas at all. You don't have to add water to your brush or anything. You just want to go back to more paint and give your sky another coat. Makes a huge difference, that second coat. And again, you can paint the 4 sides with a second coat as well if you'd like. And then once you're done with your second coat, if you wanted to go back and give your dark blue sky a 3rd coat, you can. It'd be a nice touch-up to really get into all those spaces that might still be poking through after your second coat. But again, take your time, no rush with your dark blue. Go ahead and push pause if you want to do a 3rd coat, or if you're still working on your 1st or 2nd coat, and then you can join us whenever you're ready for the next part. All right. So once you are done with your dark blue sky, again, I would probably do 3 coats if we weren't just moving along with the video. But once you are done with your dark blue sky, you're gonna go ahead and wash and dry your big brush. So wash and dry your big brush really well. Make sure all that blue is off of it. And I almost giving it a hug with my big brush by wrapping it around, making sure all of it is off, even the middle area of my brush. Perfect. And once you're done with washing and drying your big brush, we're gonna work in these two triangle shapes inside his ears. We wanna give that blue some time to dry and no other paints anywhere close to it so they don't mix. So we're gonna kind of work on the inside. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my big brush that I just cleaned, take a big scoop of white, find a nice clean area on my plate, and then a dot of red and make a nice kind of baby light pink. So a big scoop of white, a dot of red. I'll go back and do the same thing. I'm gonna do it twice. I'll go back to get some more white, get a dot of red. It makes a nice kind of baby pink color. Sorry, my plate's kind of moving. You can just wipe off the sides of your brush once you're done mixing. But you want a nice baby pink. Add one scoop, a dot of red, mixed it, added another scoop of white, a dot of red, and really mix it into a light pink and wiped off the side of my big brush. Then I can take my big brush and I'm gonna outline kind of more on the inside of the ear. It's okay if you go over the pencil mark. We'll find it later. I'm gonna outline the ear and painted all that baby pink that we just made. And I'll do the same thing with the other ear. I'll grab more of my mix, outline the triangle shape, and just kind of fill it in, like so. So I have two light pink ears. Once I'm done, I'm just gonna wipe off the sides of my big brush. You don't have to wash it, but I'm gonna wipe off my big brush, get most of the pink off. And then I'm gonna go back to just white on my big brush. And starting from the outer edge, I'm just gonna sweep, almost like sun rays, some white coming towards the middle. So I'm not really gonna pass the middle. I'll add some white to my big brush, start from the outer corner, and just gonna sweep almost like sun rays coming in towards the middle. Same on the other ear. I'll go back to more white, start on the corner, and sweep in with my white. And again, if you're still working on this, you're welcome to push pause on the video. So first all pink, and then I want to start on the outer edge and just kind of flick in with my brush to create those areas where a little bit more light is hitting the inside of my ear. There we go. And once you're done, you can wash and dry your big brush. If you're still working on it, not a problem. Take your time, no rush at all. You can always push pause on the video. Then I'm gonna wash and dry, maybe even hug your brush again with your paper towel, get it nice and clean, like so. Perfect. Once you're done with inside the ear areas, you're gonna mix a little bit of green and a little bit of white to make the lighter green for the face. You don't wanna go inside the ears and you don't wanna go inside the eyes or the nose, but you're welcome to paint all the other space inside the face and around the ear areas this lighter green. So let me show you how. So again, be sure you have a plate. I'm gonna take a scoop of green, another scoop of green, and then a tiny bit of white, just a little bit of white, and mix like a medium green. So 2 scoops of green, 1 scoop of white, and mix, make like a medium green, and you can always wipe off the sides of your brush. Perfect. With my big brush, I'm gonna put it off to the side for just a moment and grab my small brush. I'm going to use my small brush to outline around my ears and my eyes and around the face and ear area. 2 scoops of green and 1 scoop of white. Mix with your big brush. Put your big brush aside for just a moment. and use your small brush to, let's start around the eyes first. And this just tells me that I don't want to paint inside my eye area with this medium green. Looks kind of funny. And then also around your nose area. Next, I can use my small brush and my green and white mix. Go around that triangle shape. If your pink is still really wet, be careful. You don't want two wet colors to be working together on this part. You don't want them to be blending. All right. Once I'm done, I am gonna use more of my mix to go on the outside of the ear, and be very careful if you have any wet blues. You don't want to really get into that area. So I'm going on that outer part of the ear and outlining with my small brush. Go around the head. And I'm making this outline with my small brush so I know where to stop, and so that my lines are a little bit cleaner with my small brush as well. All right. And once you're done, you can go back to your bigger brush and paint in all that space. It's okay if you go over your line work around the mouth. We're gonna find those later, so you're totally fine just to paint over them. They're just as a little bit of a guide before we go in there and paint on top of them. We just wanted you to kind of see where those were gonna lie later, but I'll show you in the video exactly where those go a little bit later on. But all you're doing is taking your big brush now and going into all those spaces. And if you need to, you can always go back to your small brush and clean things up, or you can go back to your small brush to get into smaller areas, but you're using that mix that you made to fill in the space around the eyes, the nose, and the ear. And if you want, you can do 2 coats of this green as well. If you need to make more of a mix, remember your 2 scoops of green, 1 scoop of white recipe. And if you want, you can also use water on your brush, tap it on your paper towel, and that will help your green move a little bit easier. So you might not have to make more if you're just kind of scooting your color a little bit with your water. So water, tap, tap, tap. Just kind of move your brush a little bit more, or move your paint a little bit more with some water on it. It's kind of painting. Around its eyes, up and down, just kind of moving in the direction of the line. So more side to side in the ear area, more side to side kind of in the forehead area, and down here. You can work your way up on here and over here though. Again, I would recommend 2 coats for this green. And this is almost like a base before we build any lines on it. You can go back. I'm gonna do another 2 scoops of green, 1 scoop of white, and mix it, give it a minute to dry, and then go back over it to really cover up that canvas a little bit better. If you have any bumps, go over it. Make sure it looks nice and smooth. But you want a nice green. To start with. There we go. You can always drag the side of your big brush too to kind of get those outside lines back. So you can kind of drag it so those lines are nice and clean. Excuse me. this some time to dry. So I'll give this green some time to dry before I put any line work on it. Again, be sure you have a nice base coat. While I'm waiting for it to dry, I can wash and dry my big brush. And I can use the back of my small brush to make some dots for the stars. Be sure your blue is nice and dry. So be sure your blue is nice and dry. But as you're waiting for this green to dry and your dark blue is already dry, you can use the back of your small brush, dip it into a nice clean white, and just push down on it almost like a stamp to create those stars. And remember, the harder you push, the bigger the dots become. So you do want to have a nice variety of big versus small dots. And they're not too far down here. I'm kind of keeping them above this area, but higher up. And be sure you don't do too many stars. You don't want to take away from the dark blue sky. But very randomly, I'm going to go in there and build some dots in the sky area, scattered around. And I'm just using the back of my small brush to make those dots. Perfect. All right. So I can actually just clean the back. Like so. All right. Make sure both my brushes are nice and clean. My dots are in my sky. Pink and white in the ears, the green face area. All right, be sure to give this area some time to dry. It could still be a little bit wet, but I'm gonna go in there with some dark green to kind of show the top of the eyes and this kind of wrinkle that comes down. So I'm gonna go back to my small brush after I've given this green some time to dry, and I'm just gonna use green on its own, no mix, just green in my small brush. And again, if you're still working on your stars, please push pause. But I'm gonna come down a little bit past the top center and make a line going up and down with a little bit of a sweep. Kind of flick to my brush. And then I'm gonna start at this point and come up to a diagonal with my green. And then up into a diagonal with just my green on my brush. So I have a little bit of dark green. Can go back for more. I'm gonna go a little bit above the eyes, about up here, and make a little bit more dark green here. Not too much on my brush. With a little bit of a curve, kind of like the eyebrow shape. Perfect. So again, coming down, up, and then over in the eyebrow shape. I might go back and give it a second coat because it does still look like my base green is a little bit too wet. But those are the areas of just your dark green, like so. And then I'm just gonna wipe off my small brush on my paper towel, and I'm gonna add a little bit more dark green to my small brush. I'm gonna go in there and paint the green for the nose area. If you wanted to give these some time to dry, then you can go back with a second coat for all these dark green areas so you can see them a little bit better. And then once you're done with your second coat of dark greens for that 1, 2, 3, 4th area, you can wipe off your small brush and just go back to white. And then above kind of the ear area, I'm gonna sweep some white, just a little bit of white down here, a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right underneath the cheek area. I'll do another sweep with my brush. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 little sweeps of brush of white. So just gonna little curve, a little bit curve, just fast little flips of my brush. I'll do one up here above the screen line. And I barely have any white on my brush, not too much at all. Can go back to more white, maybe tap some off. Go up in the forehead area. Use these kind of curvy, like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, but lower it down to the right. Underneath the eye. Underneath this eye. Maybe some above this ear. Maybe some below this ear. So just some flicks of fast movement with my brush, with my white, just a little bit on there, not too much on there. So there's 1 flick, 2, 3, 4, maybe some over the ear, under the ear, above the eyebrows, those little bit of bumps on there as well. And take your time with that white. Once you're done with that, you can go to black on your brush. So let me show you how. I'm gonna wash and dry my small brush. I'm gonna start with the eyes. So small brush, black paint. I'm gonna outline the eye shape on both. 1, 2. And I can use my small brush to go in there and fill it in. All black. You don't want to see any white canvas poking through. So there's 1. And there is 2. I'm going to let that black dry for a little bit. With the black, I also outline around the nose area, so that funny shape we had earlier with our pencil. Kind of like a bean where it comes up and down, the top part of like a kidney bean. There was a mouth area a little bit lower down, going side to side. To the right side, I'm gonna kind of come down at a diagonal a little bit past the nose. Boop. A little bit of a flick on my brush. A little bit of a diagonal going up with my brush. Kind of on top of the pink area, I'm gonna do a little bit of a flick of my brush on the top. Same on the other side, a little bit of a flick. I'm just kind of barely outlining here and there, just a very soft outline. I'm not gonna go all the way around to create a thick line. Above this ear area, on the by where the green is, I'm gonna have a little bit of a curve. A little bit of a curve. And then up here, I'm gonna kind of create a little bit of a curve too. And then down here, kind of closer to the cheek and ear, I'm gonna make a little bit of a curvy line to show the left side of the face a little bit more and the right side of the face a little bit more. To the right of the eye, there's a little bit of a flick. To the left of the eye, a little bit of a black line. Can go back for a little bit more black. Tap, tap, tap. More in the eyebrow area, I'm gonna create a curve coming up. Coming up, a little sweep. Maybe come down a little bit this way, come down a little bit that way. You could even create a little bit of a line down here to separate the clothing from the face, side to side. Perfect. All right, I think that's about it. If you want to go in there and add a little bit of sweeps anywhere else, you're welcome to go in there. But you do definitely want to outline or have some sweeps around the face, excuse me, above the ears, up here above the ears, on the forehead. Perfect. And we'll let that black dry a little bit before we put any white dots or kind of that gleam in its eye. So we'll let that dry for a little bit. I'm going to wash and dry my small brush. And if you're still working on those areas of white and black, take your time. Once you are done with the white and black, you're gonna mix a medium brown. You're gonna take your nice big brush, get 2 scoops of brown with your big brush and 1 scoop of white. Make yourself a nice light brown. You can always kind of clean off the sides of your brush. I think I'm going to go in for just a little bit more white, just make it a little bit lighter. There we go. I think that's a good light brown. So it looks like it was 2 scoops of brown, a scoop and a half of white. And a nice light brown. Now I'm going to outline. Let me wipe off the sides so I don't have big chunks of paint. This area down here with my light brown, and I'm going to drag my big brush. I can go over the blue just a little bit. Just be sure it's nice and dry. I'm going to come up here. Be very careful if your green is still wet. You don't want to get any green or black from the black outline on it. Then I can go underneath the face area. Drag it. And again, it's okay to go over your pencil lines. We'll find it together in just a moment. But the top part, I do want you to go side to side. And on the bottom part, I do want you to go more up and down with this brown. So the left side. So side to side up here, and then more up and down with your big brush down here. And again, we can find those lines later. This is a little bit of a guide for you. Be sure it's all covered. No bumps with your paint. You want to go over and smooth it out. Get nice and clean. Maybe use a nice clean brush to maybe add a little bit of dark blue over here in the corner. Looks like I missed a spot. All right. I do want to definitely cover up all that white space. If you want, you can do 2 coats of this kind of medium or light brown that you made. Make sure it's all covered up. More side to side up here, and more up and down here. And when you're done, you can wash and dry your large brush. I think I'm going to go back now that this area is a little bit more dry. I'm going to go back with my small brush and just my green paint and give it another coat so you can see it just a little bit better. So there's that area. There's that area. I'm going to go in the nose area just a little bit more with my dark green so you can see that a little bit better as well. Be sure that black is nice and dry before you go in there. All right. After I was done touching it up, my medium brown or lighter brown mix that I made is all done. Give this a couple minutes to dry, or a minute or 2 to dry. You're going to go back to your small brush and just the brown on its own. So small brush, brown on its own, a minute or 2 to dry. On the left side, you're going to come down and make a flick like this. And on the right side, come in a little bit and a flick, kind of curving in the opposite direction. On the top part, you do want to do a little bit of a flick right here on the left, a little bit of a flick here on the right with your brown, just brown on its own. And then up here, I'm going to go more side to side, leave a little bit of space, and then go more side to side. So there's a little bit of space, a little bit to the right and bottom of the mouth area. And then I'm going to sweep, so I'm just kind of flicking my brush here, flicking my brush here. It's almost like I'm creating 2 rectangle shapes. I'm going to come between this 2, those 2. So So do you see those two rectangle shapes? The lines aren't really connected, but you have those four areas, a little bit of roundness to them. And then on this side, I'm going to come in almost a little bit like a backward C. Come down like so. Perfect. So take your time on those areas. Once you're done with those areas, you're going to wash and dry your small brush. Maybe give them a minute to dry. Then you'll go into your black. And you're going to almost follow the shape of this brown. And it's okay if the brown and black touch. So just a little bit of black, maybe pat some off on your paper towel. I'm going to start down here, maybe just on the outside. Maybe a bit here. Maybe a little bit to the right. Close to your brown, it could overlap just a little bit, but you want to kind of be going in the same shape as those lines. Getting near it with the black. Kind of went to the right of my line on this one, to the left of my line on that one. And then I'm going to kind of follow the shape of these as well. It's okay if they overlap. You just want them to be close to each other and kind of following the same shape, either to the right or to the left. Maybe overlapping over here. Perfect. Go with this one just more. Touch it up just a little bit so you can see my black lines a little bit better. Alright, and then you can wash and dry your brush. It's your small brush again. And now I'm going to go in there and add some white lines in there. So I'm going to take my small brush, a little bit of white paint, maybe tap some off on your paper towel so you don't have too much on there. I'm going to come in from the brown a little bit and have a little bit of a sweep of a line with my white. And then I'm going to come down into a diagonal, come down to the right. Maybe a shorter one just underneath it. I'm going to come in from this brown right here, curve that way. And this one's going to be coming in this way. Maybe more white on your small brush. Tap, tap, tap. Down here I'm going to make a white line going side to side above my brown and black area. Then over here, I'm going to make a curvy line coming in that way. Perfect. I'm going to wash and dry my brush. I'm going to go back to the face and start adding some details now that it's a little bit more dry. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create some dots, some inside the eye area. So I'm going to take the back of my small brush, so not the front, but the back of my small brush, dip it into the white, so the back of my small brush. On the top middle, I'm going to push down with my black, a little hard, so I'm going to just push down instead of a nice size circle. I can go back to more black. The top middle part of this eye too, I'm going to push down like so. Make sure there's no black on the back of your brush. You can go back to more white. And a little bit to the diagonal and to the right, I'm going to push a little bit less on the back of my small brush so I get a little bit of a smaller dot. And I'll do the same thing to the right side. Come to the right, just push a little bit less. Perfect. Then I can clean off the back of my small brush. Once I'm done, I can go back to the regular size where there's the bristles, the hair. I'm going to go to the white paint. And I'm going to create a mini kind of angle. So it's barely pushing on my brush. And then I'm going to come down. It's almost like a sideways V. Same on the other side, but I'm going to be going the opposite direction. I'm going to be going up and down, like so. And on the outer edge, I'm just going to be creating just a tiny bit of a line going side to side. Same on the outer edge of this one too. A little bit of a line going side to side. Like so. Make sure there's not too much black on there. And then I'm going to be going to more white. There's a little bit of a gleam on the top right area of the nose, so just a little bit of a shine. Add some white to maybe tap some off on the paper towel. Then just on the top right, maybe just pushing down a little bit side to side, like so. Go back and make this a little bit lighter, another coat of white. Touch those up a little bit. Make them a little bit brighter. And if you got too much white on there, you can always let the white dry and then add a little bit of black once the white is dry. So it's pretty much like having white out and you're building on top of it. But otherwise, I think your alien child is all done. If you want to go back and touch anything up, you can. Just be aware if you have a wet color and another wet color touches it, they are going to blend together. They're going to work and mix together. So if you don't want them to be mixing together, give it some time to dry before you put a color on top of it or next to it. Artists, I hope you had a fun time. This is a really great fun painting, and hopefully we'll see you soon again. Have a great day.